So what else is on? I mean, obviously, we're sitting here waiting for Anthony Hudson to make some very important choices about the the Nations League roster for Grenada and El Salvador, Jared.
We had 5 Americans on the field at once in an FA Cup game.
We did. That's right. We had Fulham and Leeds United yesterday in the FA Cup 5th round.
And the first chance to see McKennie in what should probably be his natural position with Leeds, with Mark Rocca making back into the starting lineup with Tyler Adams.
Yeah, but I don't know that works. I don't know that midfield works. There's no dynamism in that midfield.
I thought McKennie worked in it. I thought McKennie looked good in that game.
He played really good? Okay.
I thought he played well in that game. I think there's one thing that's holding McKennie back from truly winning over the Leeds fans: the final pass in the final third. He has messed that up a few times now.
He had a big one yesterday.
But other than that, his distribution is good. His ball must be good. His vision's been good. His defensive work has been good. But if you're going to play that position ahead of those 2 bucket midfielders, you have to be able to make the final pass. Yeah. Because guess what? You have to put it on a platter for Bamford. You have to put it on a platter for Reuter. They are not scoring. You don't have Rodrigo out there. For one of those 2 players, you're going to have to literally give them a tap in. And if you can't put it on that table, McKennie's going to be judged by that. But I do think that position is working for him. And if they can get Rodrigo back, hopefully soon, maybe McKennie can write that.
Rodrigo's the key to everything.
They're safe by a point right now.
Yeah, I know the win over Southampton. But Rodrigo's the key to everything. If he doesn't come back and he doesn't score goals, they are cooked. They are dusted. And
even teams are starting to figure out Nanto now. They're starting to figure out Nanto, the double team on the wing. They're not letting him get to the byline.
I was thinking about when I was watching that game yesterday. I first of all, somehow I've been sucked in. Somehow Leeds grabbed me. I let myself be. I let myself be entranced by Leeds United. I did that. I mean, Jesse for a while, obviously. But I mean, what I mean is,
I had the Obama fields all over again.
There were 2 Americans on the other side. Fulham has a deep history with American players, and yet I was finding myself rooting for Leeds United, and I was like, no, this is terrible. I don't want this. This is the worst that possible.
Because here's the thing: if it was a Premier League game, I'm rooting for Tim Ream. Well, maybe not, because I want Leeds to stay up out of relegation. But this is all Leeds has. This FA Cup. Like, I wanted them to move on.
Look, if Fulham's not having the season they're having, maybe I feel different about that.
Fulham's on the edge of Champions League.
Yeah, and Tim Ream, by the way, player of the match for Fulham fans, incredible season, getting just I felt almost embarrassed by how much slobber was coming from that an analyst for Tim Ream yesterday. Like he was
it wrong?
In love with.
Was it wrong?
No,
the
it was
dude
just it's like watching 2 people make out in front
season.
of you. It was like, oh, dude, like, should I be here? Like, should I leave?
Tim Ream is one of the top center backs in the Premier League at 35 years old, and he just looks he's at that point right now. I've been watching a lot of highlights of him over the last few weeks. It's something you see with players sometimes where it looks like the game is slowing down for him.
Yes.
He's able to take touches in small spaces that are just calm, poised. And not just that, the guy is fantastic off the ball and positioning. He is really good at positioning himself off the ball to intercept, play behind the keeper for clearances, knowing where having that nose of where the ball is going to be is what strikers have when we call that fox in the box. The defenders, there needs to be a word for that in the defenders. What is the defenders' version of that?
Remember what? Yeah, that's a good one. It can't be fox in the box. It's got to be something else.
No, it has to be something else, man.
It's
tank in the bank,
goal. Something in the goal. Something in the
soul in the goal.
Soul in the goal?
Nah, that sounds like Soul Glow.
Yeah. The thing about Tim Ream, remember when every time Tim Ream played a pass out of the back to a fullback ahead of him, you were like panicking that was going to be intercepted and come back down his throat and that they were going to score? And he made those mistakes, not regularly, but enough that it became his reputation, particularly with the U.S. men's national team. Like, oh, this is what Tim Ream does. This is what Tim Ream does. Tim Ream gives the ball away in dangerous places at least one time a match, and we all panic and freak out, and we can never trust him. I never felt that watching that game yesterday. I haven't felt that watching
It's
Tim
amazing
Ream.
that if we go back to the beginning of qualifying in those first games that Tim Ream saw minutes in, at left back, to be fair, at left back, it was like his future of the national team's done. It just, the speed wasn't there. But also, like, he shouldn't be playing left midfield. Left fullback, excuse me. He's a left center back. And at that position, he still has gas in the tank. It is very, very interesting to see
maybe this is the key. Maybe what Utch Unit is saying is the key, that he does make that mistake, but what he's good at now is snuffing it out before it becomes a problem. He ends up forcing the player to the sideline and pushes it out for a throw. Yeah, maybe that's maybe part of it.
I think not since I think arguably you could say Clint Dempsey form with Fulham was that 8 years ago is probably the closest we can ever talk to about a player having a better season. But even then, you got to remember, Clint Dempsey was often still fighting for a starting spot in those Fulham games.
He was. Yeah.
You know, that goal in the semifinal of the Europa League, he didn't start the final.
No.
You know, like he was very good for Fulham in those seasons, but I don't know that he was ever as consistent. He's the captain of the team, for God's sakes.
I think you're probably right, but I'm just thinking about the history. Are you saying that Tim Ream is on the verge of having the best season ever for an American in the Premier League? Outside of goalkeeper.
I think there's years with Friedel and Howard that you could put higher than that.
Yeah.
And even Keller back in the Leicester days.
So we have Mole in the goal. It's not bad. Yep. You put that up. Morgan's got Moose in the caboose, which I don't think makes a lot of sense.
I appreciate that.
Actually, Moose works, center backs, big guys. Caboose at the back? Sure, okay. Now I get it. Now, okay.
He's the Moose.
That's what it is. Moose in the caboose.
Well done, Morgan. Way to contribute.
Feels uncomfortable, but I see where it's going.
Someone hire that girl.
So McKennie playing ahead of a double pivot or something functionally like a double pivot. Tyler Adams he kind of embodies Leeds. Okay, he kind of embodies Leeds. I love the kid, and I'm so glad he's a national teamer for us. And I love his attitude and his leadership, and I do think he's next level when it comes to the defensive work that he does. But he is not a very good passer. I mean, he's certainly not an elite passer at that position.
I still think he's third best player for Leeds this season behind Nanto and Meslier. I still think
probably
he is,
fair. I mean, Rodrigo's in that mix too.
It's just so inconsistent and out for injury for certain periods of time. I still think Tyler Adams has been a better player, more consistent player for Leeds this season. But it is on display that both in he, Rocca, and maybe even McKennie, there's not one pure, beautiful passer among them.
But that's why I'm saying I'm not sure it worked. You said McKennie looked good, and he got forward. He got into dangerous places. But again, he's got I'm vividly remembering that opportunity where he's at the top of the 18-yard box, out towards the elbow. He gets a chance to kind of take a shot and decides, because getting a run off his shoulder, he makes the pass. Was it Nanto? And he puts it 2 yards too far ahead, and it's scooped up.
Somerville.
And that's Somerville. And it's like, come on.
The thought was right. The thought was right. The lane was right.
The weight of the pass. The weight of the pass. That separates a pretty good player from a great player, or from a next level, from a player who can make a difference.
And also, like, they're starting to figure him out in the air. He had the shot on goal that was the rebound that Ruder put in that was called back for being a push, some phantom push on McKennie.
He kind of did, yeah. He looked like he pushed, but he kind of didn't push. But he also kind of, yeah. Right. Yeah. I think Leeds was unlucky, but this is what I was going to say. This is why I'm mad about being sucked in.
Unlucky is a thing for them.
Leeds is the most frustrating team I've ever watched, where I kind of care but don't. They pull me in because it's like, oh, here it is. They're good. Oh no! And now you don't even trust that. How many scrambles did they have at the end of that match with a chance the last 25 minutes to try to score a goal?
One of them resulted in McKennie on the ground with his head in his hands. You know,
I mean, you're talking about Ream being in the right place at the right time behind his goalkeeper after a step out to block shots off the line. And yes, that's great. But Leeds should have scored. They should have scored. This is who they are. They should score. They should
balls
score
off the line.
Should score. I mean, it's so maddening. They are 9/10 of a decent soccer team. They are 99/100 of a decent soccer team.
has a full volley and puts it wide. There's a lot of opportunities like that with them. They're very much the Mets of the Premier League.
Is that what they are? The Mets?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I guess. I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Yeah, I guess that's what they are.
The problem is the Mets can never get put down to another division, so it's a hard comparison. They're
like
allowed to be professionally bad.
It's like one of those things that's intentionally meant to annoy you. Like when you watch a video and you see the person drawing stuff and they draw a circle that stops before it gets complete.
It's like when someone eats a Kit Kat from the side.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like things that feel wrong. That's Leeds United. They continually do things where it's like, no, why are you, no.